A Brooklyn man created a horrific double homicide of a dad and his stepson in New York City, which was all caught on surveillance video. The terrifying altercation happened on Sunday night in this Brooklyn apartment building at 1418 Brooklyn Avenue, were circulating all throughout social media. The scene started off with a man dressed in navy blue, whom police identified as 47-year-old Jason Pass. The surveillance video shows him climbing up the stairs to the fourth floor where he confronts his neighbor, reportedly over loud noise. The lead's husband and two children also joined her in the hallway during the confrontation. Vladimir Mathurin, which is her husband, also 47 years old, rushed outside of the apartment and brandished a pair of scissors in his hand toward Pass's face. Mathurin's wife tries to pull Mathurin back from Pass, but Mathurin pulls away from her to continue the confrontation. That's when things took a turn. Jason Pass pulls out a gun from his waistband and points it at Mathurin. Mathurin begins to walk backwards towards his apartment. That's when Jason Pass shoots Mathurin right before his wife and daughter run back inside the apartment. Mathurin's stepson, Chanwa Mode, a 27-year-old, tried to flee toward the stairs, but Pass gunned him down as well. Then Pass walks back to Mathurin, who was laying on the ground, and stands over him and cold-bloodedly shoots him point-blank range at his doorstep. This video is circulating that shows Pass looking over the scene and calmly walking back to the elevator. Cops found 9 shell casings and several bullet fragments in the hallway. They also found multiple gunshot wounds in Mathurin's and Mode's body. Mathurin's wife said her family is originally from Haiti. She told the NYPD that both Mathurin and Pass had been in a years-long dispute about noise. She said, but her son is just a good child. He's not violent. And her husband has no weapons in the home. Why would you bring your weapon to murder my family? The New York Police Department reported that 6 previous calls had been placed by Pass, who lived below Mathurin. It's been an ongoing dispute, which finally escalated on Sunday when Pass began banging on his ceiling and Mathurin began banging on his floor. That's when Pass rushed upstairs and reportedly kicked the door before the murder unfolded. DeLay said both her and her 10-year-old daughter witnessed the shooting. Police haven't released any details about the search for Pass, but he's still on the loose. And that was as of Sunday. But as of Wednesday, Pass had been arrested. And in his arrest, he has succumbed to his death. Because when the police pulled him over, he jumped out of his vehicle and ran from the officers. And then when the officers caught up with him, they were having a discussion with him, trying to bring him in. And he lunged at them with a knife. And they shot him 3 times in the chest and once in the leg. He was transported to a local hospital, but he himself also succumbed to his death. It's almost like an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, because he murdered that woman's husband and son, and the police killed him in self-defense. All this took place within 4 days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And that's the gist of this. But my thing is this, people. Getting into it with your neighbors is a bad thing. People have a lot of neighbor disputes, and they do go bad. I'm not going to get into it with my neighbor. And you shouldn't get into it with your neighbor either. And especially living in these apartment buildings. When you live in apartment buildings, it's worse, because think about it. Somebody's up above you and they play music and teach tap dancing classes all night, and you got to get up in the morning, and they have no respect for you, and they still gonna keep doing what they do and making all that noise, it is gonna make some kind of feud, because there's no respect and no borders made when it comes to this noise factor. Because you're gonna say, hey, well, this is my apartment, I can do what I want to do, and I'm gonna say, but hey, I gotta go to work in the morning, and you guys keep me up all night. And that's the case of this. It was a long feud going on between this gentleman and this family, which went south. And it cost the life of 3 people, of a husband and a son, and also of this other man. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to get into it with our neighbors, especially if it keeps escalating. If I tell my neighbor, hey, man, your tree growing over in my yard, it's dropping a lot of leaves, I have to clean it up every day. Could you at least trim your tree back a little bit? If I'm a good neighbor and a person that got common sense, I'm going to say, you know what, man, thank you for letting me know. I didn't know that my tree was dropping leaves in your yard and you have to clean them up every day. I will trim my tree back, and I'll trim my tree back. Or whatever the case may be that's disturbing your neighbor, or that's making his life a living hell in their case. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those double entendres. It's like, yeah, you're wrong, but you're wrong. And then too, the husband came out with them scissors, even though he didn't know that his neighbor, Jason Pass, had a gun on him. First of all, that was the wrong way to come out. I'm not going to come out with scissors, even though Jason Pass was wrong too, because he came down there and kicked their door. But then you came out with scissors. So nobody was on their grown man-ish, if you understand what I'm saying. Because if they was on their grown man, they would have been like, hey, you know what? I ain't going out with scissors. And also the husband came out with his shirt off at first, but he went back in and put a shirt on. See, so that's already insinuating, let's go down. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just coming out and saying, hey, what's going on, man? Man, it's too much noise. I'm trying to sleep. I got to go to work in the morning. And then I reply, hey, man, sorry about that. My bad. Okay, we're going to tone it down. Matter of fact, which hours do you work? Because my son is a tap dancer and we teach him how to tap. You know what I'm saying? That's just a scenario I'm using. Then you say, well, I go to work from 10 to 5. Okay, well, I'm going to use those hours to make as much noise as we need to make to do what we have to do too. You see what I'm saying? You always have to find common ground, people. And that's the problem with people in today's society. Nobody wants to find the common ground for us to be able to get along and live amongst each other. We all want to be like, hey, I do what I want to do. Yeah, I do what I want to do too. But if it involves somebody else, or it's being hurtful to their character, I'm going to try to find the common ground with that person so that we can get along and live peacefully. And that's what it should be about, people. And with that, I'm going to say this is the news in you. North, east, west, south. Unite from every alley in Cali, intersection and back street. Subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up on your way out the door.
Star Child, I never
seen the sunshine like this.
I never
seen the moon glow like
hey yo, I
this.
never